Okay. Hey, Jenny.
Hey.
Thanks for coming to hang out with me. Yeah.
Yeah, we're just talking, getting ready for full moon this week and going through a bunch of change and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's been a very intense, year, but several weeks. The started in August, actually. The energy's ramping up, it felt like. And I don't think they're going to stop for a while,
Mm-mm.
at least into November, I think. But yeah, it's been transformational. If you can keep, it's a balance of your emotional state and your mental state and your spiritual state, and keeping those in balance and working together in concert. Some great growth is going on right now. So,
I agree. It's crazy because I can't believe we're on the back end of 2020, and I honestly haven't had a bad year on like as far as the last 3 or 4 years goes. This has been a pretty good one as far as transition goes. I think it's like the last few years have led me up to this point to where I could handle this year as well as I did.
mhm.
And just getting into a good flow with my family and homeschooling with the kids and things. Not that we don't have hiccups and bumps and all that, but I've had and thoroughly kind of enjoyed the chaotic craziness of 2020.
Yeah, I've
Don't
had
like people to suffer, but it's not really bothered me a bit.
right. And I've had a lot of conversations lately about, just the blessings that we've had in the disruption of our old lifestyle,
Yeah.
Um, and I had some conversations with some younger folks, and they were sweating it, oh, what am I supposed to do? And I said, right now we're in this in between where, the old rules don't apply because they can't. And so new
Hmm.
rules haven't been formulated because we're still learning. So a lot of things are in flux and very flexible. And I was like, you can be disconcerted because things are in flux and flexible, and you're waiting on somebody else to set the rules, or you can take advantage of it and just say,
Hmm.
what do you want to do and how are you going to do it, because you have a lot of flexibility right now. And they were like, oh, you're right.
Yeah.
And so I said, you can set yourself free right now and try some things and see how things work. And you're not having to explain yourself to say, oh, well, I can't do this because you know we have these rules in place or the structure that has to be followed. Right now that's all out the window. So we are, in a lot of cases, we are our limitations. Now that's not
Yeah.
for everybody, that's out there, but for a lot of people, we are the ones that are limiting ourselves right now.
Yeah.
So
It's like, do you want to have a growth mindset or a fixed mindset, And yeah. And where do you want to waste your time or place your time? That's why I've realized there's a limited amount of energy and time I have, and I'm going to be very intentional about where I place it and where I put it and what I do.
hmm
But yeah, it's been a big learning experience.
yeah, and a learning experience too, and taking responsibility for yourself, because
Hmm.
when you have structures in place that kind of force you to do things in certain ways, you're following the structure, and you can make it their fault if you don't like it, and you can buck
Yeah.
against it, but you follow it. It's like you don't have to really like think about it very much. But when there's the structure's not there and they say, here's the guidelines, but you have flexibility, then all of a sudden you have to then take responsibility for yourself in actually accomplishing or moving forward in those areas, because nobody's sitting there saying you have to do it at this time in this way. And there's a lot more fluidity with it. And that a lot are struggling with that. They're like, well, just tell me what to do, when to do it. And and it's like, okay, but you have this range of time that you can do it, or these different ways that you can do it. So the ones who go, okay, cool, and they start just messing with it and trying new things, they're having a lot of fun with it. But the ones who are in the waiting mode, waiting for somebody else to tell them what to do, are the ones that are, their frustrations are building. Yeah.
That's like a big thing with us with homeschool, because going from elementary school into middle school, but doing it homeschool with Charlotte, she's used to elementary school where everybody basically does tell you what to do and when to do it. And now going into middle school, but doing it the homeschool way and having to be mindful of what she has to turn in and when, she's not used to that. So it's been a huge learning experience for us, exactly what you just said,
hmm
trying to figure it out and make it work. But yeah, we have no choice. I mean, it's a good, like anything, everything just is. So it's like you can get emotional about it, you can have a fit about it, or you can just figure out a way to deal with it and make it work.
Yeah. Yeah, and the key word you said there was mindful about it, so
Mhm.
it requires you to think about it, and
Mhm.
be mindful and choose in each moment. And then if you come up short at the end, it's like nobody else's fault but your own. So you
Right.
can't blame it on
Yeah.
anyone else, so. And that's a struggle, for a lot of people, especially where we've been, so ingrained in the culture that we've been living, and all the rules and parameters and have tos and such like that, it takes a little while to adjust. I remember Tim, gosh, it was probably a year ago now, we did a video and he talked about floating in space,
Mhm.
and how that would feel if you were just launched out into the darkness and floating in space, and would you be terrified, and what would you be thinking? And that's kind of what we're right now in, is that floating period. And it's like, okay, you choose, you can kind of stay in that floating, waiting for somebody to come tell you what to do or rescue you, or you can be in terror with it, or you can play with it. There's a variety of different orientations we could take with it, but that's kind of the sensation I get from time to time. And I mean, even with my perspective on it, I have a roller coaster. There's some days where some of the changes are, well, it's like, oh, well, that solid foundation there is not solid anymore. And so, oh, I put my
Yep.
foot in it and it slipped, through. And it's like, whoa, okay, I can't step on that now. So how do I step forward in a different way? And
Mhm.
it can be very challenging to the emotions. Yeah.
I've unknowingly just manifested myself such a comfortable bubble that I can be in. And I sometimes wonder, well, if I didn't have this, then I'm like, well, why would you even think about that? Because you have this, you know? So I just get really grateful because I know, I remember the time when I thought about what I have now and wanted what I have now. And it is like at any place I am, I can have whatever I want at the touch of a, I'm very comfortable. Not like I'm rich or anything like that, but I literally can have what I want. And then sometimes I'll be in the same life, same circumstances, but like feel like a crap, and feel like just I have nothing and life is terrible. And then the next day it's like, oh my gosh, I have everything. So it's all in my own mind, how I'm feeling in that moment, but it's crazy.
Yeah, it's absolutely about perspective and emotions, and, where we let our mind go. Because I do the same thing. I'll have days where I'm flying and I'm full of hope and just awe inspired and just playing, and, everything's great. And then I'll get up the next morning and then I'm like, oh, I need to do some meditations to get my energy in a good space, because it's like
Hmm.
not good. And I'm like, where did it come from in the middle of my sleep? So yeah, it's high day and low day, and but I've been able to. The lows are not low lows,
Hmm.
so it's an ability to kind of let it flow through me, which I think is important too. And I've had this conversation with a few people lately too. Is just let it flow through. If you're anxious, just be
Hmm.
anxious for that little bit and let it. Just don't get stuck in it. If you need to cry, then cry, and but if you try to force yourself not to feel that, you're just sticking it in your body, and it's
Right.
going to have to come out again some other time. So figuring
Hmm.
out healthy, safe ways that you can allow yourself to feel it and clear it, and just let it, because it doesn't last very long.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. If I feel like crying, and so I've had some pretty solid boohoos in the last few weeks, and if I sit there and I just let myself just cry and cry and cry,
Yeah.
eventually it passes, and then you're like, oh, you feel so relieved,
It's a purge. It's a necessary purge sometimes. I was talking about this with Elizabeth, my oldest, yesterday, about and also trying to pivot. So if your mind is going down a place where you don't want it to go,
Mhm.
trying to stop that momentum and pivot the thought and just kind of like be where you need to be, but not allow it to continue to go further on.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I had a young person I was talking to a couple days ago, and she was talking. She was stressed and stuff, and she was talking to me, and she started to cry. And this happens with most people that you talk to, and this happens is they'll go, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't mean to cry." I'm like, "Let it flow. It
Mhm.
doesn't bother me. Just release it. Let it go. You'll feel better afterwards." And then so she cried a little bit, and then I said, "Just when you're ready, just move forward. You do not have to apologize to me that you're crying." I don't mind. I said, I'll sit here and witness it with you, and we'll go forward. And she, afterwards, she was able to then talk about it, and then she was able to, her emotions started to climb because she let it go and she let it release. And I didn't shame her for crying or saying, oh, you need to have a stiff upper lip, or you shouldn't
Right.
cry or anything, or suck it
Yeah.
up, buttercup, or anything like that. I just said, let it flow. It's okay. If you need to cry, cry. I'm not going to judge you for that.
I actually like to cry sometimes. I remember my mom, even as a kid, she's like, sometimes you just need a good cry.
Yeah.
And let it flow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's been very interesting. And yeah, the moon and the astrology and everything's lining up. This has been such a dramatic, evolution we're in right now. It's really, actually, it's very good that many of us are not together. I mean, imagine if all of us were still in our normal, like, working groups and social groups and stuff like that, and we have these emotional,
Right.
changes, what that would be like. So it actually is for our good right now. I think that we're kind of, off in our own homes, so to
We're
speak.
all where we need to be. Yeah. I mean, I've had some shakeups with some relationships lately in the last actually couple days,
Mm.
some close friendships, and it's more just me having to set a boundary and they don't like it, so they start freaking out, like thinking it's about them when it's about something with me not vibing with it, and then they start going crazy on me, and it shows me, okay, well, that's why I was feeling the way I was feeling, and okay, goodbye, with love, but I now I definitely don't want anything to do with you right now, but I love you, but go do your thing over there.
Mhm.
So but it's getting easier and easier to see what's right and not right for me.
Yeah, yeah, you definitely can feel it right away. Yeah.
And it doesn't really bother me anymore at all. Like
Mhm.
it doesn't. It just is what it is, and it's okay. And it doesn't feel weird anymore. I don't know. It used to feel kind of still awkward to let go. Now it just feels right.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Detoxing of life going on right now.
Mhm. Well, we were talking earlier about things being seasonal too. So we oftentimes, another conversations I've had recently around humans not changing much, like we're the ones that want everything to be, just stay the same. And,
Hmm.
but everything really has a season,
Yeah.
and relationships or activities or tools that even you use spiritually or, physically, everything has a season. Your work, your mission may, your overall mission probably doesn't change, but how it's
Right.
playing out in the moment may shift and change. And when it's time for that season to shift, you have to allow it some freedom to, you know repurpose itself and move forward. And it can be uncomfortable and emotional if you've attached yourself to it. But there's a lot of that going on right now in many
Hmm.
different ways that it plays out. Um, when we quarantined, it was work and school and stuff like that. That was the first shifting of things happening. But now it's getting deeper and deeper, closer and closer to the heart of things that are getting reshaped and shifted. So yeah, it's really interesting time. It's going to be, yeah, I made the comment yesterday that I felt like I was being birthed again. And it is,
Hmm.
it's like coming through that birthing or out of that chrysalis, and I feel it. It's almost like right there on the other side where it's going to be like, like you
Yeah.
take a breath or fly or whatever. And that it's like right there, but it's not there yet.
On the cusp.
Hmm. Yeah. Things like that.
We'll see. Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty good at being just right here now, and even if it's not a comfortable now, it's and there's been lately a couple days where I just can't even sit. I have to go do some kind of meditation pose, something, because there's so much energy that's just disconcerting within me, or I just have to shake it out or something, or go outside, put my feet in the ground. Um, but I don't run from it anymore. I kind of let it just sit or let it work its way through.
Mm-hmm.
Try to figure it out or let it figure it out. I don't even know. Like, yeah, I don't even care,
Mm-hmm.
which is good. I mean, I like this state of not really worried about it.
Yeah, I'm starting to let go of the, why it feels that way, like what's causing it or why is it, and
Hmm.
just feeling it and trying to process it out and knowing that as I'm healing myself, I'm helping to heal the collective, so
Hmm.
it's like rather than looking out at what I can do for the collective, it's what I'm doing is this
Yeah.
right here. And the more I can clear it, increase it, grow it, expand it, and ground it, the better it is for, the collective in general.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So,
Got my
yeah, it's
charger.
been, how you losing battery?
Yeah, I'm good now.
Okay. Yeah, so it's been really interesting. I haven't journaled much lately. It's interesting because I'll go through phases, and sometimes I'll journal a lot, and it's like pouring out of me. And now lately, it's been like it's staying in. It's
Hmm.
evolving inside of me, which is interesting um, because that's not my normal. Usually, I'll journal, and nothing's. I'll sit with a pen and a paper, and it's like, no, just go back and sit in meditation and
Hmm.
let it kind of brew, I guess, inside of me. So
It's
I don't
funny.
know.
It's funny you say that because I look at my journal too, and I go through like a couple weeks ago. I was journaling every day. I was doing the magic deep into my gratitude practice, and I haven't written in days. And I just look at it and I'm like, I really don't feel like it. I don't really have anything to say right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same thing. It's almost like a pause or something, and it's incubating, or I don't know. And that's kind of the energy I feel in general. It's almost like that pause, like just getting ready to be birthed. It's like that
Hmm.
pause getting ready to happen, and everything it's building up, the energy and the changing and stuff like that is happening. So it's not depressed. I almost feel like I've been in a cave for several months now, actually. um, and we haven't put out very many videos. I
Mm-mm.
mean, it's really interesting because it was like boom, 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 and then it's like cocoon, go inside, and it's almost like, okay, what happened? But at the same time, it's it's here, you feel it, because I go in, okay, do I need to do something? Is it time to do something? Nope, nope, not time. Okay, I don't understand. I'll follow.
I don't
Yeah.
even feel like I'm the same person I was when we were doing the videos. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
it's a movie I watched once. Like a version of me. It's weird. It's so surreal.
Hmm. Yeah, I've been going back through and watching our the Manifesting Manifesto episodes, and it's so interesting because I feel different than that person. I don't even feel like that's me when I'm watching it. Like, it's physically, when I look at it, it's like it doesn't even feel like that was me. But what I do get is a deeper and different understanding of of the manifesto itself. So it's really interesting how it unfolds, because now I go back and listen to it, and I'm like, wow, I mean, I just felt that last week, that kind of thing. So it was
Uh,
almost like it was written before, it started happening, and then some of it's been happening, and now I'm going back and, reading. As I'm reading it, I've just experienced some of that personally just prior to reading it. So I think I'm on episode 5 right now, and I haven't been just sitting and reading through it like a book. I've just let spirit kind of guide me as to when to go watch another video or read it. And every single time I do it, there's been something just days prior that is in that episode. So it's almost like a manual, that we got ahead of time, and now we're,
you're
like
like time traveling.
walking through it. Yeah, it's really fascinating. So
That's very cool. I'm going to go back and check it out.
yeah. So I'm waiting for the Pleiadians and the, Christos and all of that stuff too. That's going to be really interesting. And technology is already starting to come out. Um,
I wonder what they're all up to, all of our characters.
yeah, I want to know.
I know. Tim's having a party.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, he talked about, technologies coming out and all that stuff. And there have been so much, through the school systems and stuff like that, iPads and laptops and Chromebooks and, various video technologies that have come out for these kids and employees that, a year ago we wouldn't have been able to purchase. They would say we wouldn't have money for it, but now it's like, okay, drive through and show your ID and you can pick it up. Drive through. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah, how's that possible? So you can already see some of the things starting to happen. So yeah, it's really interesting.
it is.
Um,
I don't know, I see a lot of people fighting, like on social media. I kind of notice there's a lot of people that are fighting what they hate, but they're keeping it alive by doing that, giving so much attention to the things that they are passionate about hating, which are things that I can understand, they're horrible things. But talking about it so much is just keeping it alive and giving it energy instead of working on, like we talked earlier, building the new.
mm-hmm,
It's creating a clear line of how people are going to be feeling after all this election stuff and what kind of life they're going to be living.
mm-hmm,
I don't know why I was just led to think about that, but a couple of people specifically that I love dearly and are usually very positive people, but have gotten stuck in this loop of, the things that they just cannot stand, and it's driving them crazy
mm-hmm.
and they don't see
Yeah.
it.
Well, the interesting thing is, as I sit, and as you said that, and as I'm sitting here with that, is I can remember over the last 4 or 5 years, I was so deep in trying to find the truth, sorting through all the crap, I mean, just dig, dig, dig. And there was a lot of darkness in there that, trying to understand and trying to clear and stuff like that. And I learned a lot and cleared a lot of inner stuff for me as I worked through that. And I think people are now so the people that are doing that right now didn't do that those years ago. So they're in their process. So
Mhm.
I'm patient with them and I understand and I know where they're at because I was there, just a few years ago, maybe not in the same way, but
Right.
working through the same energies. Right. And so I can appreciate their journey and have reverence for their journey, but at the same time I'm not getting into it because I've been through that. It's like
Right.
I've already gone through that and you know worked
You
with those
chose different.
energies and cleared it within myself, kind of transmuted that in myself. So when I see it, I see all of it, not
Hmm.
one side or the other. It's
Right.
like I cannot see this side and take this side or see this. I just look at it and I can see the whole thing. Um, and so they will be able to too at one point, but right now you see the division at the moment. So I don't even, I mean, I don't even watch news or read articles and if I do,
Mhm.
it's just glancing to kind of see, like sometimes I'll just to know what's happening for other people. But like you said, I'm kind of in a bubble. And so I don't really, it's not affecting me directly. And
Yeah.
other than, people worried about the C word.
Right. I mean, I get interested in it sometimes, but I don't feel any kind of way about it. I've gotten to a place where it doesn't drag me emotionally one way or the other. So I mean, I feel safe to look at anything.
Mhm.
And if I'm led to something, usually it's beyond what it's really about. There's something I'm supposed to see. Like sometimes I think there's maybe birds making noises in the background and I'm like supposed to have picked up on that or something, or some bugs saying something.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. Cause I went through the kind of like, dark, depressing pieces of several years ago. And then I got into the looking for the things to get excited about mood, and
hmm,
now it's kind of like it neither excites me or makes me upset. It's just kind of like, okay, that's a story. That's a storyline that's out there. So yeah, it's very interesting place to be
yeah,
in. Yeah.
sitting up.
Hmm.
I've gotten very childlike lately. It's thinking about, like, I posted about my water bottles. I drink about a gallon a day and I take my gallon jug and I, decorate it.
Hmm.
So I spend time doing that or making like sigils or vision boards and doing things I would have done as a kid for fun. I do that now as an adult for fun. And instead of stress, I just do something artistic or something, just simple and silly.
Hmm.
It's fun.
Yeah, I've been crocheting. I crocheted some crowns for my granddaughter. but been crocheting and or doing crafts, with her or something like that is what I try to do, or spend a lot of time outside. So I've spent a lot of time, outdoors in the creek or on the hill and those kind of things, more than spending my energy, looking at a world that is a story happening there that I can't really affect, outwardly anyway. The best way I can affect it is to work on myself inside.
Yeah.
Yeah. And be that kind
100%.
of stable, peacefulness. Yeah. Yeah. But I have my days, and usually it's matters of the heart. It's not things out. The world stage stuff doesn't really get to me, but
Yeah.
it's usually the closer in stuff now that would.
Me too. That's how it is for me too.
Mm.
The world doesn't bother me. I mean, I really don't care. I mean, I care as far as I have compassion and love for people, but I don't care because it's all just supposed to be taking place. It's all just whatever. If I can't do anything about it, I spend zero energy on it typically. But it's all supposed to be happening so we can learn what we need to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So I spend all my energy on the people that I love, that I came here to be with, to spend time with, because who knows how long we've got. And I want to enjoy every moment that I'm supposed to be here, and just finding, I don't know, those simple moments, and just being able to take real good pleasure in just a hug, or witnessing, cute birds playing in the sky, just really simple, fun nature things, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's the fun stuff. And it, I do believe that things are a reflection of there's one of your jugs.
Yeah.
I love them. I like that.
Yeah. Abundance juice.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, because I was telling you earlier that playing with my granddaughter is almost like teaching me about my own inner child, because how I respond to her has shown me kind of how I respond to myself. And the more I can lovingly interact with her and explore her imagination and her innocence, it brings out more of that, inside of me too. So that's been a lot of fun. And I think that happens with animals or with nature and with other humans. So yeah, it's a fun playground of life, if we stay in the
Yeah.
moment that we're in and not let these other things out here kind of mess with it.
Yeah, losing Chloe, my dog, 16 and a half years, losing her was a big deal, to me. It was like a big loss, just a lot of thought of, and I know everybody goes through it. I mean, it's not that it's one special thing, but it just told me, like, going through that pain, it's worth it. I'd go through it all over again, even just to have that much love in your heart. It just was telling me, if you can open yourself up, because it's easy to open up to animals because they don't hurt us back, but it's when we lose them, it's one of the most painful feelings you can ever feel, but it's worth it. And a lot of times when it comes to loving people, we guard ourselves so much because we're scared of that pain. And it just, I don't know, it told me a lot about opening myself up, and just love, and pure love, unconditional love. It was beautiful. It's so beautiful. And I still, I don't miss her as much today as I did, but I don't know, it's just such a beautiful love. And I feel so grateful to have been able to have all of it, the whole experience, all the feelings of love, loss, everything when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Something I needed, like, at that time to learn.
Yeah, the what popped in my head was the old saying of better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. And it is very much a proof that you had a deep, deep love,
Yeah.
which is a blessing. I also had the old poem come up in my mind this week of, if you love something, set it free, and if it comes back to you, it's yours,
Yes.
kind of thing. And we tend to grab, and want to hang on,
Yeah.
and the more we can let it go and appreciate, because then you can appreciate the love that you had while it was there versus feeling the pain of, like trying to grab after it. So
It's like, as humans, we get that it's crazy because we get this amazing feeling of love, and then all of a sudden we immediately start to worry about losing it,
yes.
and start to think about getting scared that it's not going to be there anymore, instead of being able to embrace that moment. And I have people in my life that I love immensely, and I want to be with them. And like, when I have these perfect moments with them, I want them to last. But then I'm like, no, just enjoy this moment. And the more I can do that, I do lose them, but then they come back,
Mhm.
it's like, we'll have moments of separation, but then we have these beautiful moments of clarity. And then it's a deeper connection at that time, because I was willing to honor them and let them be who they needed to be, and let them love themselves and let me love myself. And then we were able to come back together again and again and again in this beautiful, loving situation.
Hmm. Which is much more, my experience, especially viscerally now, is you get such a deeper level of love in that than if you were to try to keep them there with you the entire time, you know?
Yeah, because I used to expect people to do things for me out of obligation and love. My ex-husband, poor guy, I feel so bad for him, because I thought that I was such a good wife and I was so good, but damn if he didn't do it right on my birthday, he didn't love me, you know what I mean? All obligation. And now I don't want anybody to do anything for me unless it's from their heart and they really want to do it, and then I can feel the energy behind it. And I don't like that obligatory, oh, I have to do something for you because it's this. Like, I hate that shit now.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. And there are times where it still gets me though, because then Tim's
Hmm.
all, this is what you say, and this is where you are, I still
Yeah.
find I believe that and I say that. And most of the time, yes, I am that.
Hmm.
But there are days where it's like, dang, I just want,
Yeah.
there are days where I feel like we were talking about that before, we nurture, we
Hmm.
typically as feminine, we nurture, and we want somebody to nurture us. The same, but
Yes.
I've also learned that I nurture differently now. So, as I've started to learn this for myself, I see how I nurture differently than I did used to in the past. But yeah, there's still days where it's like this for me,
Hmm.
and it's usually because, and I put a video out here of a little soundtrack I did, but it's usually because I need to give myself that love, versus looking for that other person or other thing to give me that feeling. So when those moments now, when I feel like that, I'm like, okay, most of the time I can catch myself. There's some days where, I have to cry to let it loose, um, but on those days I catch myself, I realize that I need to give myself that love, and then
Yes.
when I give myself that love and I fill my cup up, then it's easier for me to be that, I don't want people to do things out of obligation and I don't need them to do things for me.
Yep. Not coming from a place of lack, because we're
Exactly.
projecting that lack, needing something that we're not giving ourselves in the first place.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a good indicator if I start to feel that it's my cup that needs to be filled by me
Hmm.
in whatever way that needs to, whether it's crafts or walking in the woods or just sitting quietly or something.
I'll take a bath a lot. I've taken the other day I took 2 baths in one day. Just because it's so nice. I love the hot water, and it's like my thing. So if I'm taking a bath, I'm like, okay, that's good self-care. Or I put a
Mhm.
mask on my face or something.
Yeah, yeah. I usually use tea, so I'll get a cup of tea
Mhm.
and I'll sit, and look out the window or something like that. That's usually my go-to first. And then if that doesn't work, then I'll do the bath or a walk in the woods. So, yeah, yeah. But it's learning to again have accountability and responsibility for ourselves
Yep.
across the board, and people are finding that in different layers, at different times, and yeah, it's an incredible journey. It's not always comfortable, but
Hmm.
it's so very rich. And I was listening to a video earlier today, and she was talking about how people that trigger a feeling for us, we've made an agreement with them because it causes us to go deeper. And so to have gratitude for that person and that
Right.
agreement, because every time you get into that, you go deeper,
Hmm.
whereas if you didn't have that, you probably wouldn't go that deep. You'd assume things were okay inside or things were okay. You're far enough, you wouldn't level up, so to speak, even more without that. Some of those
Yeah.
triggers.
Well, it's funny because I used to love that comfortable friendship or the group of women, or I used to
Yeah.
seek that like woman's circle, wanting to fit in feeling. And now when I have that, I'm like, okay, where's the shakeup coming? Because that's like death to me. I mean, it's fun and it feels good for a minute, but then it's like, no, no, no. You
Yeah.
can't be accepting of me if no, I need to grow. So it's, it's I don't know why that caused that, but that's funny. I
Yeah.
now look for the discomfort because I know that's where the growth is. And I'm all about the self-realization because I want to know who I am and why I'm here over and above everything else in life.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the other thing that's becoming more and more clear right now is the purpose or the mission. As you dig and go inside, you get a clarity of, what is it that's at your core and who
Mm-hmm.
are you, and not everybody is like you. Like I grew up thinking, well, doesn't everybody think that? Or
Yeah.
and it's like, no, I'm unique, you're unique. We each are, we each bring a tone, a frequency, a set of talents or gifts into this world, and they're all unique. And
Mm-hmm.
and so as you go through this, you stop the comparison, you can kind of figure out, oh, well, that's what, yeah, okay, yeah, that is me. Yeah, I see that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and start choosing. And the nice and the flexibility, you know, if you're blessed enough to have that during this time of that flexibility away from those, because some people don't if they're in healthcare and some of those other fields, but that are so in demand right now. But most of us have a lot more flexibility, and if you have that, using it to start to uncover some of the things for ourselves is it, giving gifts to ourselves and to the world.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I agree. Mm-hmm.
yeah. All right. You feel anything else on your heart to share and coming up for you?
No, I need to go figure out my 2 little kitties. I got 2 new kitties and want to see if they're still hiding out, if they're ready to
Oh
come out and see the family
yeah,
yet.
yeah. They're kitty cats. They're black and white spots on the belly.
Couple little white spots on the tummy. I named Merlin and Magic, 2 little boys. And the girls named them too.
Oh, that's
Charlotte picked the name Merlin, and Mackie picked Magic, and we did Magic with a K, but with CK at the end. And Merlin, it's funny because during what was it, the equinox, was it, or the solstice?
yeah. The
Yeah,
solstice.
yeah, the solstice that just happened. The
Or
girl I
no,
follow, the
whatever
girl
it
I
was.
follow was just it. Oh yeah, whatever the thing that just happened in the fall.
Whatever that thing's called.
We pay attention a lot. Um, but some girl I follow was in Merlin's cave in the UK, and I was all like researching Merlin, and Charlotte was like, let's name it Merlin. So it was kind of cool that happened. And then I was listening to an audiobook today, not about cats, but when I pulled up to get them, it said something about shut the cats up, or it started talking about cats right when I pulled up to get them. I was like, that's interesting.
Oh, the synchronicities. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that, getting them into the family.
Mm-hmm. Well, beautiful. Yeah, I'm sure your girls are going to love them. So, yeah. All right. Well, bye, everybody.